You ever try to eat cold cereal with one hand while holding a toddler with the other and reciting the alphabet backwards just to keep them from crying? That was Jason's morning. Except the cereal was a gas station protein bar, the toddler was already strapped to a daycare worker's hip, and the alphabet part was just him swearing softly while digging for his ID badge in a freezing parking lot. Chicago winters don't care about your personal chaos. They show up before dawn, slap you in the face with black ice, and dare you to complain. Jason didn't. He just tucked his gloves deeper into his coat and pushed the maintenance cart through the employee entrance of one of the tallest buildings in the loop. Nobody said hi. Nobody ever did. Lobby lights flickered on overhead, polished floors, chrome railings, and a smell that was somewhere between expensive coffee and air freshener labeled Fortune. Jason rolled the cart toward the elevator bay, boots squeaking every third step. Elevator 4 stuck again. Second time this week. He leaned into the panel, popped the service key, reset it. Another problem solved by someone invisible. On the 22nd floor, he replaced 3 water filters, unclogged a sink, and cleared printer jam hash 404 like he was defusing a bomb. By 7:45 a.m. Jason was back in the lobby, sipping black coffee from a lid that didn't fit right. That's when he saw the man stumble. Tall, clean suit, silver cufflinks, clearly out of place in the real world and suddenly very out of place on the floor. The man gasped once, clutched his chest. Then went down hard, people froze, phones were pulled out, calls made, whispers, but no one moved except Jason. He dropped the coffee, dropped the cart, ran, slid across the tile in those old work boots like someone used to sprinting toward emergencies. Sir, hey, no pulse, no breath. Jason checked twice, then dropped to his knees, tilted the head, cleared the airway, began compressions. Quick question, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. And hey, if this story made your jaw clench or made you whisper, that man didn't even hesitate, hit that subscribe button. Watch till the end, because what happens next turns one act of quiet courage into something no one saw coming. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jason counted loud, rhythmic. Not for show, for tempo, 30 compressions. Then 2 breaths. The man's chest jerked slightly, still no response. Jason kept going. Bystanders filmed now. Security radioed for EMS. A receptionist whispered, "Oh my God," 4 times like it was part of her onboarding script. Jason kept going. Hands steady, posture tight, like he'd done this before, because he had, a long time ago, before life got complicated, before he wore uniforms with patches that didn't say custodian. Before the day everything changed. At minute 2, the man coughed, sharp, loud, his eyes fluttered. Jason leaned in. "Stay with me, you're okay." The man blinked, tried to speak, failed, but he was breathing. Jason checked his watch, gave him space, and signaled security. "EMS is 2 out," someone called out. Jason nodded, then stood, picked up his coffee cup, now empty, grabbed his cart, and walked out the employee entrance. No name, no report, no thank you, just a man doing what needed to be done, then disappearing before someone asked too many questions. 2 hours later, the man woke up in a hospital bed, hooked to wires, still confused. Doctors told him he'd had a major cardiac event. Seconds from flatlining, they said, but someone jumped in. The CEO blinked. "Who? Don't know. He was gone before we got there." Badge name? Nothing. Cameras caught it, though. The CEO turned slowly and whispered, "Find him." Back in his 1-bedroom apartment, Jason reheated yesterday's rice and emailed 3 resumes into the void. His daughter's coat was too small. Rent was a week late. And his hands, the ones that had just restarted a millionaire's heart, were cracked from cleaning chemicals and February wind. He didn't know there was footage circulating yet, didn't know the man was a CEO, didn't know that by tomorrow, someone from HR would be asking the question, "Wait, does anyone even know who that guy was?" Security footage doesn't lie. It doesn't care if you're rich or tired or just trying to get through your day without becoming a headline. It just watches. And when the legal team at Vance and McKinley HQ pulled the clip, they weren't prepared for what they saw. The man who saved their CEO's life wasn't wearing a suit, wasn't holding a badge. He was wearing steel-toe boots, a maintenance tag, and a face that said, "I'm not here for applause." That face didn't match any employee record. He wasn't in HR's database, wasn't listed in security logs, didn't have a name anyone could find. But one person did remember him, a cleaning supervisor named Noreen. She sipped peppermint tea and said, "Yeah, that's Jason. Works nights sometimes. He's got a kid." Meanwhile, Jason was restocking a vending machine at the far end of a parking garage. It was quiet, echoey. One flickering fluorescent light overhead. He preferred jobs like this. Invisible work, no meetings, no small talk. Just enough money to scrape by. Just enough flexibility to be a dad by 4 o'clock. But that day, something strange happened. He got a call, not his cell. His emergency backup, the one only daycare and his sister had. The screen said, "Unknown 312 area." Jason answered cautiously, "This is Jason." A clipped voice replied, "Mr. Statham, our CEO would like to meet with you." Jason paused. "Who?" "Russell Vance. You performed CPR on him." Jason glanced down the empty garage row. "He okay?" "Stable. Recovering. Grateful." Jason said nothing. The voice continued, "Would tomorrow work? We can send a car." Jason cleared his throat. "I'll come on my own." "Quick question, where are you watching from?" Drop your city in the comments. And hey, if this story made you whisper, "This man didn't even want recognition," hit that subscribe button. Watch till the end, because what happens next proves sometimes the most powerful people aren't the ones in the tallest offices. At 9 o'clock a.m. Sharp the next day, Jason walked into the building he thought he'd never see again. This time, they buzzed him through security like he was royalty. No ID badge, just his name. He hated it already, but he kept walking, because some debts aren't financial. And he wasn't going to disrespect the man whose chest he had to crack open 2 mornings ago. The elevator ride was quiet, too quiet. Jason watched the floors tick upward. 34, 35, 36, top floor. When the doors opened, it wasn't a lobby, it was a suite. Brushed steel. Leather chairs. More glass than concrete. A man stepped forward with a hand outstretched. Russell Vance, alive, tired but standing. "Mr. Statham," he said. Jason didn't take the hand, just nodded. "You okay?" Vance grinned faintly. "Thanks to you, come in." The meeting wasn't long, but it was strange. Russell offered him a seat, coffee. Jason declined both. Russell sat down anyway. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. Jason said, "I knew you were a person. That's all I needed." Russell leaned back. "I've built 6 companies. I've been on magazine covers. I've shaken hands with presidents." Jason waited. Russell looked down. "And yet when I hit the floor, the only one who moved was a guy no one even knew worked here." Jason looked him in the eye. "Maybe that's why I moved." Russell chuckled. "You know what we pay our executive team?" Jason said. "Too much." Russell smiled. "Probably." He opened a drawer and pulled out a thick envelope. "This is a token of thanks. I want you to take it." Jason didn't touch it. Respectfully, no. Russell blinked. "What?" "I didn't do it for a reward." "This isn't charity." Jason stood. "I know. That's why I can't take it." Russell stood too. "You could use it. I looked you up. You've got late bills." Jason didn't flinch. "That's mine to handle." The 2 men stared at each other for a beat too long. Then Jason added, "You really want to thank me? Fix the lobby training." Russell raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." Jason said, "I was the only one who moved." Back downstairs, Jason stepped into the cold and exhaled like he'd just finished a fight he didn't train for. His phone buzzed. It was the daycare again. His daughter had a fever. Jason nodded, turned, and jogged toward the L train. Back to the real world. No headlines, just medicine and lukewarm applesauce. That night, Russell called a board meeting, unscheduled, no press, no staffers, just his direct team. He showed them the security footage, then paused it. right on Jason's face. Then said one sentence, "We're giving this man a job and not in janitorial." The room went quiet. One VP said, "We can't vet him that fast." Russell said, "He's already been vetted." Another asked, "Does he even want to work here?" Russell replied, "That's what we'll find out." The next morning, a job offer was drafted, full benefits, entry-level medical ops and safety coordinator, hybrid schedule, flexible hours. Russell left the envelope blank and gave it to Noreen. "Slide it in his locker," he said. "If he says no, don't argue." Jason found the envelope that night, read it twice, then sat on a bench outside the boiler room and stared at the skyline like it owed him answers. His daughter's shoes had holes. He owed rent. And yet, he hesitated, because pride's a funny thing. It'll starve you before it lets you feel owned. He walked home in silence, didn't text anyone, didn't decide. He just sat beside his sleeping kid, brushed her hair gently, and whispered, "One day you'll understand. Doing the right thing doesn't always come with applause. But sometimes it does come back around. A promotion in theory sounds like a gift in practice. Sometimes it's just a spotlight in a room full of people who'd rather not be reminded what integrity looks like." That was Jason's Monday. New boots, same shirt, slightly straighter shoulders. He hadn't signed anything yet, not officially, but the hallway chatter had already changed. "Hey, you're that guy from the video. Did you actually save him or just get lucky? You work here now." He smiled through most of it, not because he enjoyed it, because it was faster than explaining that he wasn't here to be liked. The job offer still sat in his backpack, unsigned, uncreased, like holding it too hard would make it disappear. He didn't want to take something just because the lights were pointed at him for a moment. He didn't want charity, but he also didn't want to keep microwaving rice and praying his kid didn't outgrow her shoes before the next check cleared. That's when the letter arrived, not emailed, hand-delivered, folded into a manila envelope, typed in 11-point Times New Roman. Jason opened it alone, outside the building on his lunch break. At first, it looked like a formal inquiry, but the phrasing shifted halfway down, passive-aggressive phrases like concerns regarding prior employment gaps, inconsistent credential verification, possible liability to the company's image. No name was signed, just board risk oversight, internal review. Jason folded it once, then again, then tucked it behind the job offer in his bag. Some ghosts come dressed as concern. Inside the boardroom, not everyone agreed with Russell Vance. One VP in particular, Monica Graves, leaned back in her chair, tapping her pen against a legal pad like it owed her answers. "You're really offering a job to a guy with no recent employment history, no HR vetting, and no formal application." Russell nodded. "He saved my life." Monica didn't blink. So did the defibrillator. Another exec tried to cut in, but Russell raised a hand. "I've reviewed his past. I know why he disappeared, and I don't care." Monica leaned forward. "Maybe you don't, but PR will, legal might, investors definitely will." Russell said nothing, because deep down he knew she wasn't entirely wrong. "Quick question. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments, and hey, if this story made you clench your jaw or whisper they're digging into him because he did the right thing. Hit that subscribe button. Watch till the end, because Jason's biggest test isn't CPR. It's proving he's not a headline, he's a human being worth betting on. The next day, Jason got a call from someone who hadn't used his number in years. It was short, blunt. "Hey, you might want to know your old precinct's being contacted." Jason froze. "Why?" "They're asking questions about the fire, about what you didn't do." Jason's stomach turned. "I did everything I could." The voice on the line didn't disagree, just said, "You better be ready to say it again." Because they're not asking nicely. 3 years ago, Jason was a paramedic, 12-hour shifts, double calls. A fire on the south side took out an apartment building, 4 died. Jason saved 2, but a report got filed anonymously, claiming he exited the scene too early. He didn't. But by the time they reviewed it, the media had already decided he was guilty. His supervisor didn't back him up. The system quietly ushered him out. No charges, no reinstatement, just a door that stopped opening. He never wore the uniform again. That night, Jason stared at the ceiling. His daughter slept in the next room. The heater ticked like a clock too tired to keep time. He thought about burning the offer letter, then thought about how warm the daycare lobby felt the last time he picked her up without stress on his face, then thought about Monica Graves. And every person who never saw him sweat but had opinions anyway. He got up, opened his laptop, typed one sentence into a blank email. Let me come in and explain, but I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. The next morning, he walked into the conference room alone. No lawyer. No speech, just a small stack of papers in a folder labeled May 17, Southside Fire, Engine 45 dispatch logs. He passed them across the table. Monica looked them over. So did the others. Jason said, I didn't run. I stayed until my hands went numb. Ask anyone on Engine 3. Silence. Monica set the folder down. Why didn't you fight harder to clear it back then? Jason's voice was steady. I was tired. I had a kid. I was already broke. And I figured if they believed a lie once, they'd believe it again. One of the execs asked quietly, why come back now? Jason said, because I didn't think saving a life would put me back in the news. Russell watched him closely, then said, do you still want the job? Jason didn't hesitate. Yes, but only if I earn it, not because I made a headline. An hour later, the board voted. It wasn't unanimous. But it didn't have to be. Jason was in. Not as a favor, not as a PR stunt, but because he was the one guy in the building who moved when no one else did. Jason showed up 15 minutes early, not to impress anyone. That's just what happens when you've spent your whole adult life waiting for people to tell you you're too late. He wore the only collared shirt he owned, still smelled faintly of bleach from the last night's shift. His daughter's old drawing, a crayon rocket with Go Daddy Go scribbled underneath, was folded into his wallet, not for luck, just for gravity. The new position came with a badge, plastic, unlaminated. It didn't matter. Jason clipped it on and stepped into a cubicle where no one knew whether to shake his hand or avoid his eye line. Some stared, some whispered. Only one actually said hello. A young guy named Trent, maybe 26, overcaffeinated, underslept. You're the guy, huh? Jason smiled thin. Which guy? Trent laughed. The guy, CPR guy, boardroom legend. Jason shook his head. I just didn't hesitate. Trent leaned in. That's exactly what makes it legendary. By noon, Jason had read through 3 safety manuals, sat in on a compliance meeting, and taken exactly one bathroom break, where someone in the stall whispered, "Hope he doesn't kill the CEO again." He didn't react. He just washed his hands, dried them with a paper towel that disintegrated mid-wipe, and walked out. It wasn't the worst insult he'd heard. Wasn't even top 10. That afternoon, he checked the fire suppression systems on the 17th floor, standard protocol. He wasn't supposed to touch the wiring, just log the condition. But one panel flickered weirdly. He opened it, saw exposed coils, improperly grounded. He flagged it, wrote a note, and before he could tape it closed, someone from facilities showed up behind him. A man named Ritter. 60, thick hands, years in the building. Hey, Ritter grunted. That your job now? Jason straightened. Panel was flagged. I logged it. Ritter stared. Then grumbled, you start climbing too fast, people notice. You start fixing stuff without permission, they remember. Jason nodded slowly. Is that a warning? No, Ritter said. It's a weather report. Then walked away. Quick question, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. And hey, if this story made you whisper, some folks hate watching you stand up, even when you're just doing the right thing, hit that subscribe button. Watch till the end, because this story doesn't end in an office. It ends where all stories do, with someone paying it forward. 2 weeks in, Jason's rhythm returned. Early starts, late pickups. He kept his head down, filed every form, checked every door, And then one day he caught someone watching him too closely. Not a boss, not a coworker, a kid, standing just outside the lobby, shivering slightly. Thin hoodie, messy hair, no backpack. Jason walked out, crouched, offered a bottle of water. "Hey, you good?" The boy hesitated, said nothing. Jason sat beside him on the concrete, waited, then asked, "You waiting for someone?" The kid shrugged. "Just came inside 'cause it was cold." Jason nodded. "Where's your folks?" The kid didn't answer, but the way his shoes curled inward said enough. Jason called the front desk, asked them to loop in security but not the police. Not yet. He kept the kid calm with vending machine snacks and a game of I Spy that ended in a smile. That's when Russell Vance walked in. The CEO froze mid-stride, stared, then smiled. Jason stood, found a stray. Russell knelt beside the boy. After a few quiet questions and a call to a local outreach org, they got him help, real help, food, warmth, a name in the system. Before the boy left, he hugged Jason's leg and whispered, "You were the only one who talked to me." Jason didn't reply, just nodded once, then watched him go. Later, Russell stopped by Jason's desk. "You didn't have to do that." Jason shrugged. "Didn't have to do CPR either." Russell smiled. "Fair." He paused, then handed Jason a small envelope. Jason frowned. "More money." Russell shook his head. "Better." Inside was a key card, different color, different access. Jason looked up. Russell said, "You're not in probationary status anymore." Jason blinked. "I didn't even know I was." Russell grinned. "That's the trick. Keep moving like you belong. Eventually they stop checking." That weekend, Jason took his daughter to a diner, 2 pancakes, 1 orange juice, a worn table and an empty morning. She beamed when he told her he had an office now. He beamed when she asked if she could decorate it. After breakfast, they walked outside into a cold that bit skin and didn't apologize. Jason looked at the city, full of noise, money, and noise about money, and realized he'd finally stopped apologizing for who he was. One floor above Jason's new office, Monica Graves watched him through a pane of glass. Someone leaned over and whispered, "Thought you weren't a fan." Monica replied without looking away, "I wasn't, still not sure I am." Then added, "But sometimes the right thing happens anyway." The security footage of the CPR incident is still in the archive, unedited, uncaptioned. Just a man in boots dropping his coffee and doing what no one else did. No cape. No soundtrack, just hands, training, instinct, and a decision. The kind that still echoes months, even years, after the heart starts beating again.